Are you a seer, and have you had some issues with people on the internet, spiritual leaders, or members of your family misunderstanding you, or even worse, misunderstanding the Bible and then using that to reinforce their own confusion? If so, this video is for you. First off, I'm really sorry that that happened to you. It's not always easy when you exist outside of the boxes that make other people feel comfortable. And seers in particular are frequently misunderstood. You know, a lot of times people will want to kind of fill in the blanks for something maybe they don't have experience for personally. A lot of times they get questioned, you know, because this feels out of the box, or they get demonized, assuming that only darkness can give gifts, just pause on that one, or pathologized by people who do not hold a medical license usually. And this happens a lot, and a lot of times it happens with people who are using the Bible, and somebody who is using the Bible as a club rather than the sharp sword that it is probably should consider they may not have it in their hearts. And if you have been bludgeoned with something that was meant to cut you free, may these words today bring some comfort. For a little bit of context, I have a master's degree in Old Testament theology and critical interpretation of the Old Testament, and I have also seen in the Spirit for over 30 years. Let me unpack a few verses you might find healing. Obviously, there are some very basic verses that are often used against seers and etc., such as in Colossians, where it talks about, you know, not worshiping angels. Please, if you see an angel that asks you to worship it or gives you information that doesn't align with the Bible and the nature and character of God, please go the other way. But a lot of times, the verses that can cut a little bit more deeply that have not been properly exegeted can include 2 Corinthians 5:7, which says, "For we live by faith, not by sight." And folks using this verse are saying, and using, not letting the verse transform them, are saying that you don't need to see to walk with God. But when you're learning to unpack the Bible, you can't pull out singular verses. You actually have to look at the whole thing from start to finish. John 5:19 says, "But Jesus said, I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing alone. The Son does only what he sees the Father doing, because the Son does whatever the Father does." And the truth is that seers are designed to show us what the Father is doing. And as we see what the Father is doing, it builds faith for what is yet unseen. Some other verses that are frequently used. One is John 6:46 that says, "No one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. Only he has seen the Father." Here, people are saying it's impossible to see God, when things like the entire book of Revelation are one big seeing God encounter. Because Jesus also says that whoever has seen me has seen the Father. John 14:9. The truth is that seers are made to be with Jesus and reflect the Father that they have seen to others. That's what seers like Daniel and John did. Daniel saw the Ancient of Days in Daniel 7. And John saw the Word in multiple occasions in Revelation 1. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. And so, if you have seen Jesus, you have seen. And then, my favorite, Deuteronomy 18:10-12. "And do not let your people practice fortune telling, or use sorcery, or interpret omens, or engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, or function as mediums or psychics, or call forth the spirits of the dead." Now, the argument and the assumption here is that all spirits are dead people and demons. And I would say that the reason that Deuteronomy 18 calls out these things is because they are counterfeits. Fortune telling is the counterfeit of receiving a word from God. Sorcery is trying to use power that didn't come from God, etc., etc., etc. And calling forth the spirits of the dead assumes and delineates from the spirits of the living. Now, I'm not recommending that you commune with any spirit other than the Holy Spirit. However, there is another reality, which is that not every spirit is dead, which is why Deuteronomy 18 makes that connection. Jesus said to the religious leaders who didn't believe in resurrection, "He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are totally mistaken." Mark 12:27. And in John 4:24, Jesus said, "God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth." Here's the truth. Seers are called to draw our eyes to the realm of the living, not to the realm of the dead. That is what it means to be a seer who is walking in light. This is my personal creed. It's Colossians 1. It says, "He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For everything was created by him, in heaven and on earth, the visible and the invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and by him all things hold together." He is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he might come to have first place in everything. If you're a seer, you were designed to see not the dead but the living. And you were made to be in communion with Jesus. And getting into a healthy, like-minded community can heal the wounds that those careless words have caused. And so if you would like to learn more about that, I have some online courses and what have you that get a little bit more in depth than we can in an online YouTube comments section. But I also have a lot of free resources and what have you. Those can be found on my site, and I'd love to have you. If this just is something that you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button and watch for the next video.